Well, I'm speaking to Southampton-based novelist Rebecca Smith. Thank you very much for being part of the Reading Detectives project for us, Rebecca. I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about where we are today.
Right, we're at the Hawthorns Urban Wildlife Centre, which is on Southampton Common, which, as you can see, is absolutely beautiful, and it's this very wild place, although cultivated wildness, I suppose, in the heart of the city. It became the setting for a lot of my first novel, which is called The Bluebird Cafe. And I was really drawn to it. I lived nearby, and at the time I was finishing the novel, I had young children, and we used to spend a lot of time here because it was within easy walking distance, and I spent many hours sort of pushing the pushchair around these little paths. It's absolutely gorgeous, and there are so many birds and different plants, and I can remember my baby son used to laugh as we went by the teasels because you could sort of rub the teasels, and he thought the sound was the most hilarious thing. So it became one of the settings, one of the locations in the book, although I changed the name and it's called the Badger Centre.
And your first two novels have actually got the setting of Southampton. That's The Bluebird Cafe and Happy Birthday and all that. Your third novel is inspired by Southampton, isn't it? But it doesn't actually name the University Botanical Gardens in the book itself.
Yeah, that's right. I realised working for the university that I had to be a little bit careful. And so although someone local to Southampton and somebody who knows the university would very easily spot that this is where it's set and could take a walk around the path described in the book, I thought that I'd better not say it was Southampton University as I get into trouble.
In general then, how does the setting of Southampton have an impact on your novels and help shape them?
Well, I think it started because I grew up in Surrey, in Brockham and then in Reigate. I was born in London, but I came to Southampton as a student, and for me it was this very interesting place. I think the first place that you live independently can have that sort of effect on you. That feeling when you wake up and you think the city is mine and nobody knows where I am, and for me, strangely, some people would say that was Southampton. And it's lovely to have a place that you discover for yourself and you explore for yourself. And then as I was writing, I was living quite, this is later on, I was living quite a sort of constrained, possibly cloistered life of being mostly at home with small children. And so Southampton was what I was seeing, and Southampton was what I was wanting to recreate. Just working on this quite small canvas.
And is part of the reason that you choose a real location is that it becomes so believable and consistent for your reader?
I think it's easier as a writer, and that sounds rather lazy, but it is much easier if you've got the map of the place in your head, and so as you're moving your characters around, you can picture them going along this particular path or this specific street. And but I also liked the idea of capturing the place because it is a very interesting city and there is much for the reader to discover. So I guess it's a bit like being a painter or a photographer and wanting to capture a particular time and a particular place, but also time of day and time of year, those things too.
And did you change many of the details, sort of the place names at all? I know you've discussed that obviously the University Botanical Garden, and in that process did it make you look at your city through fresh eyes?
Well, I didn't actually change very much. I've changed names of places because you have to be careful not to upset people or to write anything libelous, although I hope any recognisable things, they're affectionate portraits. But I didn't really change that many details because I wanted to use things as they were.
Okay. And finally, do you think that place within a novel should become an unforgettable part of the reading experience?
I think novels that don't have what people call a sense of place are rarely very successful in terms of loved by readers. And I know that I will often read things and really love the work of particular writers because of the places that they're capturing and writing about. Anne Tyler's Baltimore, or if you think of the poetry of John Clare or Hardy's Wessex, some of them are obvious and some not so. So I think that that sense of place is really, really important, and it's one of the decisions as a writer that you have to make of am I going to create somewhere or am I going to use a specific place? And if you're using a specific place, such as Southampton, will it come across properly to the reader, most of whom won't know Southampton and won't have been here? And so you're making these decisions about how to make this small location somewhere that could be of universal interest, but I hope that in those details that's what carries the work.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you, Rebecca, for being part of the Reading Detectives project. May I wish you every success in your forthcoming author residency at Chawton, the Jane Austen House. Thank you.